Can I start? Hello. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about cleft lip and the palate. First, introduction. The dictionary meaning of the cleft is a crack or fissure or a split or a gap. The cleft lip, alveolus, and hard and soft palates are the most common congenital abnormalities of the orofacial structures. They frequently occur isolated deformities but can be associated with the other medical conditions, particularly congenital heart diseases. See, the cleft, it is the meaning of the crack. Okay, it will be between the lip or soft palate or hard palate or alveolus. Okay, all children born with a cleft lip and palate need a pediatric assessment to exclude other congenital abnormalities. In certain circumstances, genetic counseling must be. Shout syndrome is suspected. The incidence of cleft lip and palate, it's 1 in 600 live births, and isolated only cleft palate is 1 in 1000 live births. The incidence is increased in Oriental groups and the decrease in the black population. The highest incidence is reported of cleft lip and palate occurs in the Indian tribes of mountain in US. See, now the embryological background. The face is formed by fusion of number of embryonic process around the 4th week of intrauterine life. 5 brachial arches develop at the site of future neck. See, this is a diagram is telling. The first one is frontonasal process and it's the sternum and the mandibular arch and the pericardium. The first of the mandibular arch plays a role in the development of nasomaxillary complex. In the second one, the mandibular arches gives rise to maxillary process from the dorsal end. See the developing of the forebrain, the upper one. So the second one is maxillary process and the third one is mandibular process. See the maxillary process is for upper lip and the cheek, upper cheek. The lower cheek is formed by the mandibular process. Upper cheek is by the maxillary process. Then upper lip also maxillary process and see the 5th and 6th week. With the formation of the nasal pits, the frontonasal process gets divided into medial nasal process and 2 lateral nasal processes. The maxillary process fuse with the medial and the lateral nasal process to form the upper lip and the primary palate respectively. See the maxillary, it is the upper one. The process fuse with the medial. This is the medial and the lateral nasal process to form the upper lip and primary palate respectively. See in diagram, the upper one is showing that nasal pit and the maxillary process and the mandibular process. The lower one is mandibular process, the red one, and the green one is maxillary process, and the yellow one is medial nasal process, and the lateral one is lateral nasal process. The lower diagram is showing it is a primary palate and the secondary palate sleeves. See diagram. If you think. This is primary. And this one is secondary. This is nasal pit and this is called palatine sleeves. See the upper one is the primary and the lower sides. The primary is by. See development of the palatine. It begins in the 6th week of the intrauterine life. Okay, develops primary. The primary palate is formed from the medial nasal process. See this one is medial nasal process and the secondary is by the from the maxillary process. Show the diagram. The primary is above one, that is by the medial nasal process, and the lateral ones. This is called secondary. Secondary one is processed by the maxillary process. Palate is formed to contribute maxillary process. Palatine sleeves give of the maxillary process. This is called palatal sleeves. Palatal sleeves. And the frontonasal process. The frontonasal process gives rise to the premaxillary region while the palate sleeves form the rest of the palate. The fusion of the palatal sleeves begins at 8th week. It starts in the 6th week and it's begins at 8th week, continues till 12 to 17th weeks. Initially, the palate sleeves are covered by the epithelial lining As they join, epithelial degenerate and the connective tissue of the palate sleeves intertwine with each other and resulting their fusion. See, this one. This is the primary and this is the secondary. This is the palatal sleeves. See, it will fusion. It starts in the 8th week and it will take up to the 12 to 17 weeks. See, it fusion like this. And it's formed the, at last, completely it fuse. Completely it fuse. Now it is the primary palate and secondary palate. This is incisive foramen. This is called this round one. This is called incisive foramen. And the primary and secondary is met in the, this is called incisive foramen. The primary, it is the bony part. It is the bony part. That's why it is a hard palate. And the secondary, it is called soft palate. See, hard and the long soft. Anterior is this one. This primary and anterior part of the secondary palate, it is hard and the bony hard palate. And the posterior part of the secondary, it is called soft palate. Hard palate and soft palate. See, the palatine sleeves begins at 8th week and continues 12 to 17 weeks. For the fusion, okay, the initially palate sleeves are covered by epithelial. Then today our topic is lip. Development of the lip. Upper lip is derived from the medial nasal and maxillary process. The lower lip, see the upper lip it is called, it is from the medial nasal process and maxillary process. And the lower lip is formed to fusion of mandibular process of two sides. The failure of merging between the medial nasal and maxillary process at 5th week of gestation. See, it is the failure, the merging of the medial nasal process and the maxillary process at the 5th week. Then one side or it is both side. It is called cleft lip. The cleft lip means it is the merging. It is a failure of merging between the nasal process, medial nasal process and the maxillary process at the 5th week of intrauterine life. This is called cleft lip. See, this diagram is showing the medial one. See, the medial one is called from the frontal nasal process and from the lateral nasal process. See, here it's showing the upper part of cheek from the maxillary process and the lower part is from the mandibular process and the upper lip. Okay, upper lip, the lateral part of the upper lip is from the maxillary process, medial part of the upper lip from the frontonasal process, and the lower from the mandibular process. See, once again I will tell you, upper part of the cheek is from the maxillary process and the lower part of the cheek is from the mandibular process. And come to the lip, the lateral upper lip and the lower lip. Lower lip is completely by the mandibular process and upper lip, lateral part is from the maxillary process and the median part of the lip is from frontonasal process. Cleft palate occurs in number of ways. Defective growth of palatine sleeves. See, these sleeves, it's a defective growth. It's not merged. Okay. Then delayed or total failure of sleeves to elevate and attain the horizontal position. Lack of contact between the sleeves and post-fusion rupture of sleeves and failure of mesenteric consolidation. See, this is the isolated cleft of palate. It is a separate entity and appears to be under strong genetic influence. More common in females, and the severity from the mild notching of tip of uvula to cleft extending the soft palate alone or into the secondary hard palate up to the incisive foramen. See, this point is very important. The severity from the mild notching tip of the uvula to cleft extending the soft palate. The soft palate is the posterior part of the secondary alone and interior to the secondary into the secondary hard palate up to the incisive foramen, usually associated with the Perry-Robins syndrome. What is Perry-Robins syndrome? Perry-Robins syndrome is, it is the normally it will be the lower jaw. Its jaw is very small compared to the normal one and the tongue is going to the throat. That is called Perry-Robins syndrome. The submucosa cleft present on the palate of the bony defects is covered by the oral mucosa. The submucosal clefts most often affect the posterior part of the palate at the posterior nasal spine. and may be accidentally discovered by the routine occlusal X-ray or could be located on the careful palpation of the palate. The submucosal cleft, it is will be seen in the X-ray, or otherwise you have to palpate with your hand. Occurs only the hard palate and continue to open cleft the soft palate, or it may occur the submucosal cleft of the soft palate with or without notching into the hard palate. See the etiological factors. It can be divided into four categories: that womb environment and external environment, and the nutrition, the micronutrients and folic acid deficiency, and the drugs. The certain drugs acts as a teratogen that cause the births like defects like some certain drugs. What are the drugs? Antiemetics and anti-epileptic drugs: phenytoin, valproic acid, and digoxin, retinoic acid, maternal alcohol use, and maternal smoking. These are the drugs cause the cleft. And some of the known teratogens: rubella virus and cortisone, markentopurin and methotrexate and valerium. Infections like rubella, syphilis, and toxoplasmosis, maternal alcohol use was found to cause the interruption in the migration and differentiation of the neural crest cells. See, the maternal alcohol is affecting the maternal crest cell formation, interruption, migration, differentiation. Then smoking also. Smoking, what will happen? It will the embryonic exposed to maternal smoking have increased risk of having clefts. Then the predisposing factors: increased maternal age. The women who conceive late have increased risk of having offsprings of clefts. And racial and the blood supply. Any factor that reduces the blood supply to the nasomaxillary areas during embryological development predisposed to clefts. See, etiological factors, you have to divide into four. One is womb environment, then second one is external environment, and the nutrition. What are the nutritions? Micronutrient and folic acid deficiencies, iron and folic acids, and the drugs. The drugs I told you already: anti-epileptics, digoxin and antiemetics, and alcohol, maternal smoking, and retinoic acid. And the viruses: rubella virus and cortisone and markentopurin and methotrexate. This everything you have to write in the etiological factors. See the cleft lip and palate. It is a university question for you in 4 marks questions. The infections like rubella, syphilis, and toxoplasmosis. The maternal alcohol, it affects the differentiation migrations of the neural crest cells. And the smoking also will cause to the having clefts. Already told you, racial and blood supply, increased maternal age. Who are the maternal age? Who are the conceived the late age? Increase the risk of the offsprings of the cleft. And the blood supply. Blood supply reduced to the nasomaxillary area during embryological development, disposed to the clefts. And associated syndromes. The cleft lip is associated with the following syndromes. One is Down syndrome. And Vanderbilt syndrome. Pigmentation of this is abnormality of pigmentation of hair, iris, skin, and the deafness. And orofacial digital syndrome, and Treacher-Collins syndrome, and Peri-Robin syndrome, and Klippel-Feil syndrome. What is Treacher-Collins syndrome? This syndrome is called the absence of the facial bones, or it's not formed. That is called Treacher-Collins syndrome. Already I told about Peri-Robin syndrome. And what is Klippel-Feil syndrome? It is the cervical vertebrae. It is a fusion. In this patient, they have the short neck and they have to feel the difficulty in the breathing. These are the syndromes. It associated with the cleft lip and cleft palate. And other syndrome is another defect is congenital heart diseases. See the diagnosis. The diagnosis of the cleft lip is mostly by the intrauterine life in the 18th week of gestation for the cleft lip. But the cleft palate we can't diagnosis on the intrauterine life. Okay, only cleft lip. It is you can assess the 18th week of the intrauterine life. This is the neat bit for you. 18th week of the gestation by the ultrasound. See, only cleft lip only you can diagnose as a intrauterine life. But cleft palate we can't see by ultrasound or 3D ultrasonography in the intrauterine life. The advantages of early diagnosis before the birth. Sorry. Advantages of early diagnosis. Time for parent education and management. Then in this time we can, if you diagnose it in the intrauterine life, you can counsel the patient for how you can approach the patient for further treatment and what is the social behavior and everything you have to explain the patients. Then allow the psychological preparation of the parent and allow them to have the realistic expectations. And it gives the opportunity to investigate the presence of chromosomal abnormalities. See, if you detect in the intrauterine life, there you have the more time to, you have to diagnose other any chromosomal abnormalities. Why it happened? I already told you what are the chromosomal abnormalities like Down syndrome and Peri-Robin syndromes. Like that, you can exclude what are the causes for the cleft lip. Okay, then give the parents to choose the continuing the pregnancy or not. Then we can counsel the parents whether the continuing the pregnancy or not. Okay, for this the advantages of the early diagnosis, you can counsel the patient for parents for the patient to continue the pregnancy or not. Then the psychological preparation. Okay, then they give opportunity to investigate the any presence of chromosomal abnormalities. Helps in the getting prepared for the neonatal feeding and care. See, in cleft lip and cleft palate, what will happen? They have the patient have the more difficulty in the breathing and the feeding difficulties. Then you can, before you can counsel the patient for feeding and the care. Then opportunity of the fetal surgeries. Then you can approach and you can suggest them the how you will approach the patient. Then what time you will go to do surgeries and what surgeries you will do. Then everything you can explain. The risks. Hereditary risk of the children of the parents with cleft or the sibling of the children with the cleft is approximately 4%. The risk of significantly smaller in 0.6% for second degree relatives. Classification. The cleft lip alone, it is unilateral or bilateral or the median. Okay. Then cleft of the primary palate is in front of incisive foramen only. Then the complete means the absence of premaxillary area. Incomplete means it is a unilateral or bilateral and the median. See, cleft lip and the cleft primary palate. And go to the secondary palate. It's behind the incisive foramen. I told you that the round one is incisive foramen. The before one is, it is the primary. And the lower one is secondary. Lower one is secondary. Then you behind incisive foramen only, the complete, the nasal septum and the humor is separated from the palatine process and incomplete and submucosal type. It can be the cleft with the soft palate involvement, cleft without the soft palate involvement. Then it can be with the soft palate or it can be without the soft palate. This is the three types: complete, incomplete and submucosal type. Then the cleft of both primary and secondary palate and the cleft lip and cleft palate together. See, this is the classification. Again, I am telling the cleft lip alone. See, cleft lip alone means that is unilateral, single side, or both side, or in between the here, medial. Okay. Then the cleft primary, you can divide into cleft lip and cleft primary and cleft secondary. The cleft primary, what is it? Is in front of incisive foramen only. The complete means it means the absence of premaxillary area. Then incomplete, it is a means the rudimentary of the premaxilla. It is unilateral, bilateral or median. Same as the secondary palate. Secondary palate means it is the behind the incisive foramen. The complete, the nasal septum, humor are separated from the palatine process. Then incomplete and submucosal type. It can be with the soft palate or without soft palate involvement. Then the fourth one is cleft of the both primary and secondary. And the fifth one is cleft lip with cleft palate is together. There is a 5. And this one is very important. The Lascelles classifications. It is simple classification presented in the book. And you see, it is the right side and the left side. The right side first, you see, it is a lip. L for lip and A for alveolus and H for hard palate and S for soft palate. See again, hard palate, alveolus and lip. The Lascelles. See, the lip is for L, alveolus for A, hard palate for H, and soft palate for S, and alveolus for A and the lip. See, the right side to left side you will go. See, last classification of cleft disorder. capital L is for the lip, and A for alveolus, H for hard palate, and S for soft palate. See, complete type of it called, you will write in the capital letters. If the small letters, it is called incomplete. That is a last to bilateral. See, lip, hard palate, alveolus, hard palate, soft palate, alveolus, and the lip. This one is right, right, hard palate, soft palate, left, and left. See, if it is a complete type, right side complete cleft lip, it is called capital L. If it is an incomplete one, small l. Okay. If it is a complete one, okay. If the alveolus involved complete or incomplete. If it is a complete one, you can go for capital letter. If it is incomplete, you can write as a small letter. Okay, that is a Laschel's bilateral cleft lip. See, once again, this is very important. The left, they will go for right to left side. You can see the L for lip and A for alveolus, H for hard palate and soft palate. And left side you go alveolus and lip. If it is the complete one, you can go for capital letters. If it is an incomplete one, you can go for small letters. See the cleft lip. The central is rare. In the upper lip between the two median nasal process, hair lip, laterally the maximum, it is the most common to the left side, the cleft lip. The laterally the maximal and medial nasal process is commonest, can be unilateral or bilateral. Incomplete cleft lip does not extend into the nose. The complete cleft lip extends to the nasal floor. Then simple cleft lip is only to the cleft of the lip, and the compound cleft lip is the cleft lip which is the cleft of the alveolus also. See, cleft lip and cleft lip central is rare and laterally by the maxillary and the mandibular nasal process, and here the commonest. See why I told that maxillary and mandibular, the upper lip is formed by the lateral part is maxillary and the lower part is completely by the mandibular process. If the cleft lip is most commonly on the left side, okay, the incomplete cleft lip does not extend into the nose. The complete is extend to the nose floor, nasal floor, and the simple cleft lip is only the cleft in the lip, and the compound cleft lip is cleft lip with the cleft of the alveolus. See, in the type 1, you are showing that the central cleft lip. The hair lip type 1 cleft lip, it is a rare one, the central part. See the teeth and the lip is the central, cleft is in central, in the upper lip. See the second one is lateral. The cleft lip lateral, the type of variety is commonest. It is due to the imperfect fusion of maxillary process and the median nasal process. It can be unilateral or bilateral. See, this is the first one. Upper one is showing the unilateral cleft lip. The lateral type, it is the commonest type, and the second one is bilateral. See, in the diagram they are showing that first one, the above picture is showing that is a unilateral, and the lower one is showing the bilateral. See, this one is the wide cleft palate with the lip. It's a complete type in the children. Here it is the palate is involved and the lip also involved. See the typical distribution of the, it's very important. See, these will be asked in the your entrance exams also. There's the cleft lip alone in the 15% and the isolated cleft palate in the 40%. See, in the only cleft lip it is in the 15% and the cleft palate it is in the 40%. But the both the cleft lip and the palate it's combined in the 45%. That is the more is cleft lip and cleft palate. It is the 45%. Okay, only cleft palate alone is 15% and palate alone is 40%, and the palate and the lip it is in the 45%. Then the cleft lip and palate predominant in the males, both in the males, but the cleft palate is more common in the females. In unilateral cleft lip deformity affected to the left side in the 60% of cases. Already I told you, the cleft lip is most common to the left side in the 60% of cases, and the only cleft palate is most common in the females, and the both cleft lip and cleft palate is most common in the males. The incidence is first the distribution, the cleft lip is 15%. Cleft palate is 40%. If between the both the cleft lip and the cleft palate is the patient is 45%. This is the one of the bit for you, which is the most. It is the cleft lip and the palate, and the percentage is 45%. And the cleft lip and palate predominant in the males, and the only the cleft lip palatine, it is more common in females. Okay, then unilateral cleft lip is most common. In that the left side is the most common type. It is mostly in the 60% of the patients. See the problems with the cleft disorders. What are the problems will happen? See, the first problem is difficulty in the sucking and the swallowing. This is the commonly observed in the cleft lip, cleft palate than in the cleft lip. What will happen if the cleft lip patient will not able to suck the milk? Okay, he can't take, and he can't hold the breath and everything, and he is having some the palate, everything is most common is infections and most common the feeling difficulties. That time we will ask the patient to prone positions sometimes. Okay, then the speech defective specialty the cleft palates, mainly to pronounce the alphabets of B, D, K, P, T and the Z. Altered dentition and superannumerate, recurrent respiratory tract infections and respiratory obstruction, chronic otitis media, ear problems also can occur, and middle ear problems, sometimes patient having the hearing loss also, and cosmetic problems. See, the cleft lip and cleft palate is there. The teeth is elevated, something the cosmetic problems also will occur, and hypoplasia of the maxilla, problems due to the other disorders. What are the other disorders? We will the Down syndrome, okay, then congenital heart disease, that the other syndromes. See the first difficulty in swallowing and sucking, and pronounce the some alphabetics, and recurrent upper respiratory tract infections, respiratory obstructions, and chronic otitis media and middle ear problems. Then the cosmetic problems, hypoplasia of the maxilla, and problems due to the other disorders. See the primary management. I told you this is the antenatal diagnosis. Antenatal diagnosis at the intrauterine life of 18th week. Okay, then by the ultrasound you can differentiate, you can able to diagnose the cleft lip, but cleft palate you can't able to diagnose in the intrauterine life. See the antenatal diagnosis. The antenatal diagnosis of the cleft lip, whether the unilateral or bilateral. Pause पर down the pause. Sorry. The primary assessment antenatal diagnosis. The antenatal diagnosis of the cleft lip, whether the unilateral or bilateral, is possible by the ultrasound scan of after the 18th week of the gestation. Then unilateral, when the antenatal diagnosis is confirmed, they refer to the cleft surgeon and appropriate counseling for the ALA fears. Then photographs of the cleft lip to show the parents before and after surgery, and then introduction of the parents support and group, and the meeting of the parents, the child, and similar cleft who have undergone the surgery may be also extremely helpful. See the first diagnosis, then antenatal diagnosis confirmed, then you have to send for cleft surgeon or the oromaxillofacial surgeon or the plastic surgeons. Then photographs before and after you have to take, and you have to better explain to that. Then introduction of the patient, then previously who operated for the cleft lip. Then again, if the parents have met with them, it is very beneficial to the parents. The second one is airway. The major respiratory obstruction is uncommon and occurs exclusively in the babies with the peri-Robin sequence. The hypoxic episodes during the sleep and the feeding can be life-threatening. Intermittent airway obstruction is more frequent, and it is managed by nursing by the baby in the prone. Then more severe and the persistent airway compromise can be managed by retained nasopharyngeal intubation to maintain the airway. The principles of the cleft lip surgery. The ultimate goal is the cleft lip and palate management is the patient with normal appearance of the lip and nose and the face, whose the speech is normal and whose the dentition and the facial growth falls within the range the normal development. Treatment. See the treatment, how will you approach? The cleft lip, if it is a unilateral, you can operate in the one operation at 4 to 5 months, 5 to 6 months. If it is bilateral, you can go for 4th to 5th month. See, if it is a unilateral, you have to operate between the 5th to 6th month. If it is a bilateral, you can operate for between the 4th to 5th month. Okay. Then if it is a palate is the different scenario, I will explain you in the palate. See, this is also one of the need bits for you. If it is a unilateral cleft lip alone, you can be operate in the 5th to 6th month. And it is a bilateral 4th to 5th month. See, this is the criteria 10 rule of 10. There is a Mirror criteria. It is 3 rules. One is 10 pound in weight. It is approximately 4.5 kgs. 4.5 kgs and 10 weeks old and 10 hemoglobin. 10% of hemoglobin is needed for to rule of the surgery. It is called Millard's criteria. It is a rule of 10. One is 10 pounds in weight and 10 weeks of gestation. And another one is 10 weeks, 10% of the hemoglobin. The principles of the cleft repair, the rule of 10 should be fulfilled. I told you the 10 weeks of gestation, 10 pounds of weight, and 10% of hemoglobin. Before 6 months only, you have to operate. I told you, if it is a unilateral, you can operate in the 5th to 6th month. If it is a bilateral, 4th to 5th month. Infection should not be present. Then Millard advancement flap is commonly used for the unilateral cleft repair. And one stage of bilateral cleft repair is done using the Manu 3 method and Miller single stage and black method. See the proper marking for the made the prior to surgery and incision should over the full thickness of the lip. The before going to surgery, you have to take the flap, okay, and you have to adjust the normal anatomy of the lip and alveolus everything. That's why before going to surgery, you have to properly mark for the flaps, okay. Then we have to give the insulin 1 in 2 lakhs adrenal injection is used for achieve the hemostasis. Then 3 layers repair. The 3 layers repair should be the mucosa, muscle, and the skin. What muscle you will take? Orbicularis oris. That's the muscle around to the lip. Okay. Then mucosa and the skin. Then cupid bows. What is the cupid bows? This one here. The middle one, the cupid bows. The cupid bow should be in the horizontal manner and the continuity of white line should be maintained and Wellmann's. But what is the upper lip? It is between the lip and the normal skin. That the upper lip and the here the mucosa. That is called vermilion borders with the tip. Okay. Then vermilion notch should not be there. It's the vermilion see vermilion notching. It should not be there and continue of the white line and the cupid's bow should be in the horizontal. Then upper lip repair should be in the 3 layers. One is mucosa and muscle and the skin. Okay, before going surgery, you have to mark the properly for the flaps. And you have to, before going surgery, you have to inject the locally for the adrenaline because you have to achieve the hemostasis for the more visible. See, that one is middle cleft repair by the rotating the local nasolabial flap. See, here we will mark if it is a left side. Okay, if it is a right side, then we will take from the this side also we will remove and we will take the muscles and this side flap we will take cover like this. The management of associated primary and secondary cleft palate, proper post-operative management like control infection, training of sucking and swallowing and the speech and the tensions jet plasty. See the cleft lip surgery. The skin incisions are developed to restore displaced tissues, including the skin and the cartilage, to their normal position, while the gaining access to the facial, nasal, and the lip musculature. Let's see, I told you that proper marking is very important. Skin, cartilage, and normal position, you have to facial and lip. Then the muscular continuity is achieved by the subperiosteal undermining. See subperiosteal periosteum bone is there, no? The undermining of the anterior maxilla, you have to undermine. The nasolabial muscles are anchored to premaxilla with non-absorbable sutures. Oblique muscles, the oblique others is sutured the base with the anterior nasal spine and the cartilaginous nasal septum. Closure of the cleft lip is completed by suturing of the horizontal fibers of the orbicularis oris and achieve a functional oral sphincter. See, the first diagram is showing the skin incision. See, that red one is marking, highlighted in the red color, the two sides. You will raise the flaps. After the raising the flaps, what will you take? You will close the mucosa and we will approximate the muzzle. Then after approximation, you have to put the skin suturing. You have to continue to the wire line and it will not cupid bows and the vermilion borders it not be notching together, and you have to maintain the normal anatomy of the lip. And this is the second one. The diagram is showing skin. This is a bilateral side. The skin incision is a bilateral, completely cleft lip showed in the red color, and after excision of the shown it's in gray color. After excision, it's showing the gray color and mucosa or skin after. See, this is the pic of after surgery. It is a Miller's after. It is a unilateral. See, he achieved the normal anatomy of the lip. And it is after the bilateral cleft lip. Thank you. Next topic, we will discuss of the cleft lip in the next class. Any doubts? By a complete అయిపోయింది. See, the cleft lip and cleft palate. It is the congenital abnormalities of the face. The cleft lip and the cleft palate. It is a university questions for you. I told you the cleft lip, what are the etiological factors and what are the incidents. Okay, the cleft lip it is only 15% and the cleft palate is 40% and the both cleft lip and palate is 45%. Okay, these are the only university bits. Thank you so much. Any doubts? If you are having any doubts, ask in the chat box. See, if it is a simple one, it is only in the lip. If it is a completed, you can go for the alveolus and the total lip continuity. And unilateral, unilateral left side. See, unilateral left side is the most common side compared to the right side. In the most 60% of the cleft lip, it's on the left side. The Miller adjustment plug applicable for the treatment of the lip as well. See, if it is a respiratory tract infections, we will treat it the antibiotics and everything. After that, when the infection is subsided, that time only you have to go for the surgery. Because if you have infections, what will happen? That flap will be failure. The flap will not become normally. Okay. Then okay. First you have to treat the infection. What is the Treacher's-Collins syndrome? See, the Treacher's-Collins syndrome. The Treacher's-Collins syndrome. It is the facial abnormalities. That means it is absence of any facial bones. Okay, it not properly developed due to the any abnormal congenital defects. Very common left side.